This is Seth David from the world-famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This one's called It's About the People, Not the Platform, Facebook Timeline versus Google+. Let's take a look and see. Maybe I can help you decide if you're going to stick with one or the other or keep both in your world of social networking. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me right now at 866-945-8070 for information about private trainings. We record the live session with you so you can review it as often as you like afterwards. Okay, so we are looking at the new Facebook timeline. I was able to adopt early on this because Chris Perillo was good enough to put a blog post up on his blog with the instructions for how they opened it up for developers to do it. And if you can follow those instructions, you can also switch over to the Facebook timeline and get your new profile set up the way I've got mine set up. The only ones who can see it like this are other developers who've also switched already. So if you haven't switched and you go to my profile, you're going to see it in the old format. So what have we got here? They're calling it Facebook Timeline, and the reason they're calling it this is because it's just that. They've put everything on a timeline for you. And you can scroll down manually to see your timeline, to see what you've posted, and to see the comments that people have made on your posts when you're looking on your own profile. I can also jump all the way down as far back to the date I was born. And then you can take the opportunity to stick onto your timeline significant events such as your birth. And what I did was I put this picture of myself from when I was actually a year old on the timeline right there on my date of birth. I put one of my wedding pictures on the timeline on the day I got married to my wife. And so you can add significant events to your timeline and include pictures, video, whatever you want that you think is appropriate that you want to share. And as far as that goes, you have complete control over what you share and whom you share it with. So I can click over here and I can edit the story. I can hide it from the timeline so that only I can see it, nobody else can. And of course I can delete the event. The other thing I can do is I can feature it on my timeline. So this will make it stand out when others are visiting my timeline. And if you look at some of the smaller posts, if I jump up to what's going on right now, and I do that with one of these posts, let's say here, I click to feature it, you'll see what it does is it moves it so that it fills in the whole timeline all the way across here instead of being on just one side of it. It puts it right in the middle of the timeline. And I can change that by simply clicking on the star again. Now, of course, you have the same features that you've had before in terms of being able to get to your friends list, for example, but it's much easier to get to now in this new format. I've got these little boxes right up here at the top underneath my header, where they're calling the cover, and I can click here to get access to a list of all my friends. Before you had to click to see your list of friends on the left-hand side, and it didn't appear on every screen necessarily. It depended on if you were looking at your full timeline or just your profile. That was one of the problems with Facebook, because certain things only appeared in certain places and there was no rhyme or reason to what you could expect to show up, why or where or how. Now, the topic of this, and what I really wanted to share with you, is that there's a lot of buzz about this. There's a lot of buzz about the changes that came out last week. That's why I posted a video, because as I mentioned in the blog post that's going to go with this video, I woke up last week one day and I saw people complaining, saying, oh, this is terrible, Facebook changed it, I don't understand how it works, what's going on? And my reaction to that was, well, I could jump on the bandwagon, I'm sure I could find plenty to complain about, or I can look for a solution. I can look for a way to address the problem that people were identifying. And in business, I've learned to do that very specifically, is look for a problem, look for a space to fill, and go fill it. And so that's what I did. I recorded a video because I tend to pick these things up quickly, and being on Google Plus and knowing what they've done and having a sense of what Facebook might be trying to do to sort of keep up, it was clear to me pretty quickly what the new features were, especially in terms of creating the lists and putting people in lists and sharing with those lists and so on and so forth. So the bigger question, though, is are you going to leave Facebook and go to Google Plus, or were you thinking about leaving, but now because of timeline and what you're seeing here, maybe you're going to want to stay? My personal feeling is I plan on sticking with both, because ultimately I have friends on both. And that's really the message I want to share, and the important point that I want to make is that it doesn't matter what platform I'm on. The platform is just the real estate. It's just a place that Facebook and Google and others have given me to go in and share information about myself on a strictly voluntary basis. I offer up information about myself in exchange for the ability to connect with people all over the country, all over the world, any time of day. And to me, that's a very worthwhile exchange. Other people are complaining, worried about the privacy, but as I've often said, and others have said it too, if it's so private that you don't want anybody ever to find out about it, or even if there are certain people you never want finding out about it, then don't put it out there. Even though you might want to protect it, even though I can hide something on my timeline here, I'm still not going to put it out there unless I'm assuming that I'm okay if somehow everybody in the whole world who wanted to could get a hold of that information. If it's that private, just don't put it out there. That's my message. So we've got Facebook. We've got Google+. Here's Robert Scoble. Circle him on Google+ if you happen to go on there, because he shares a lot of great information and seems to be connected to a lot of the right people, such that he seems to know what's coming next. The morning before Facebook announced Timeline, he put it on here, saying that we're going to find out by the end of that day, why Facebook is actually still years ahead of Google. And I think he might have meant that in the most literal sense. Google can't do this because their timeline is too short. Their timeline is only 90 days. But Facebook has years of history going back to 2007 such that they're able to do this because they've gathered up all this content. And for me, it was kind of interesting, actually, to go back to 2008, which is when I joined Facebook, and to see some of the stuff I was posting then. It appeals to us on a very emotional level. Now, there's also things on Google Plus that I like better than Facebook. But most importantly, for me, it's about the connections. It's about the people I've connected with. And my own specific personal experience has been that on Facebook, I'm connected with a lot of people, a lot of friends that I've had for many years. And on Google, I'm connecting with people I've never met before, with people I never would have met and never would have known had it not been for Google+. And I still feel this way. I still think that even with all this change, Facebook is much more conducive to bringing together people who already know each other. Whereas Google, kind of like Twitter in my experience also, is much more conducive to giving you a platform in which you can go out there and meet people who don't necessarily have common acquaintances with you or common connections, but people who are simply sharing information that's of interest to you so that you can follow them. And in following them, you might get their attention and they may turn around and find that you've got information that's interesting to them. And on a business level, it definitely works because I can, make connections with people who, even if they don't become customers, they might wind up referring me people who have become customers, which is something we were discussing this past Friday in our Google Plus Hangout that I've started called the Accountants and Bookkeepers Hangout, which we do every Friday at 8 a.m. And we've got a bunch of accountants and bookkeepers coming together in this web conference and talking about anything from what's going on in the accounting industry to answering questions of business owners who have come in and asked us questions. How do I do this in QuickBooks? Or what can I do that? Or what's coming out in QuickBooks 2012? So for me, it's about creating the experience that I want for myself. It's about going out there and using these tools that they've given us and figuring out how I'm going to use them. So when they throw some new tools at me, instead of complaining about them, I look at them and say, okay, what can I do with this? How can I use this? What can I learn about this? And then how can I put that information, that knowledge to use? And in terms of Facebook, it's about how can I connect? I love that I have this little dashboard right here so that if I posted something and people start commenting on it, I don't have to go anywhere. I can stay right here. And as you can see, in terms of living on multiple networks, it's not that difficult to do. I can keep them open in multiple tabs. In fact, I've got a bookmark here, a folder of bookmarks actually called Social Networks. And they all show up here. I've got them on my left here too because I'm using, Firefox. It allows me to do this and keep all my bookmarks in the margin here. Here's Social Networks. Here's all things Google. So it makes it very easy for me because of the browsers and what the tools that the browsers provide us with. It makes it very easy for us to go out there and in 2 seconds I can connect with people on all of these networks. Doesn't matter. I've got a whole bunch of LinkedIn bookmarks here. When I'm running my web conferencing software, the drop downs at the top navigation don't work so well. So that's why I keep moving back over to the sideline. But I can come over here, and if I don't want to leave Google+, but I want to open up my LinkedIn profile, I can just right-click my bookmark here and choose Open in a New Link. And again, I'm having trouble with this because of the web conferencing software. See if it works better here now. No. So I'll have to re-record something on this at another time without the web conferencing software running so that I can show you exactly what I mean. But if you right-click these, there's an option to open the link in a new tab, and that's what I was looking for. Otherwise, I can just open it up, and it takes me right in. So it's very easy to jump from one social network to another. So when people ask me, well, how many can you keep on top of? I can essentially respond to that by saying, how many can you throw at me? You know, and as long as I'm interested, I'll try it out. There's Posterous now. Posterous is, it was just a blogging platform, but they recently rolled out some changes that made it function much more like a social network. So let's go see what that looks like real quick. Let's go to Posterous. Posterous, again, it was sort of a micro-blog. It really gave you a platform that enabled you to go in there and quickly and post short, quick blogs, and it really had a nice feature in terms of the images and how you can post images and, you know, incorporate them into your blog posts. So here's Posterous. Nice and simple. I love the minimalist layout of something like this, and where it really highlights the picture. So you're going to use your images to let people know what the content is. And here's one I put up on Posterous itself. This is, you can't tell from here, but if you've been on Posterous, then you recognize this right away as their logo. And so you know this is a post about Posterous. And I just created a post here called What Have You Got For Me, Posterous? And what they've done here is I can go in and I can go to the main Posterous screen and I can read other people's Posterous blogs or Posterous profiles based on what they've posted, based on people I've connected with. So they've made it much more like a Google+. And they've really made it a lot like Google Plus in terms of how some of this works. So again, there's an infinite number of platforms out there, and for me, it's not so much about the platform. It's about what kind of experience are you having on a platform. If you find yourself spending time on a platform and find that you enjoy the experience, then go ahead and join it and spend time on it. They're all just tools. Let's take a look at some of the other tools that Facebook Timeline has offered us, because I want to make sure that I cover all of this. I want to make sure you can see this. I showed you the friends list, and as I showed in the previous video that I recorded last week, it is very easy now to go in and put somebody on a particular list. So if I know that I know this guy Scott, and I do happen to know Scott very well, in a particular realm of my life, then I can create the list. I can go here and create new list. And I can easily just check off whatever lists I want to include him in. He's a guy who I know who lives here in Burbank. I also know him in the business world, so I can check him off there. And I can include him on any of these lists that I choose to. And once I'm done, I simply come back over here, click away, and now when I hover my mouse over, I can see that he's been included on those lists. So that's kind of nice. Let's go back, though, because I covered the lists thing in the last video. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's do the next thing, though. And for some reason, I've had to reload my page today every time I go on here. Look at what they've done with the photo albums. They've organized it, I think, pretty nicely. Kind of like Google Plus did. I still think Google Plus has done a better job with the photo albums. And I'll show you what I mean by that. If I go to Google Plus, they've made it really nice. The photo albums have, I really sort of give Google props for this, because I think they've laid it out in a way that's really nice. When I first go here, it shows me all the photos that are being posted by all the people I'm connected to. And so that kind of makes for something, an interesting way to browse what's going on Google+, because I can look at these photos and look for things that grab my interest based on a very visual kind of experience. I can also come over here and choose, these are photos from my phone. The Google+ app has a feature in which as soon as I take a picture, it uploads the picture to Google+. Nobody can see it until I've actually chosen to share it, but it does upload it instantly, and it puts it into the special photo album called Photos from Your Phone. Photos of me or photos that I've been tagged in, tagging, a feature that Google Plus, of course, took right from Facebook. And then there's my albums. So if you know me at all, you know that I love my dogs, and I have a lot of pictures of my dogs on the internet. And here's an album I created just for that purpose called The Doghouse. But I love what they do. They highlight the first picture that you put in the album, and then you can move your mouse over any one of them, and it enlarges them. And each photo here, if I want to, it can have its own comment thread. So once I click on a photo, I can come over here and add comments. And I can easily add a caption here. So personally, I love what Google has done with the photo albums. Facebook, I think, is sort of catching up. They've given me a nice platform here in which I can quickly and easily access all of my photos. So that's nice. And over here, I can browse by album, or I can just look at videos. So I like what Facebook has done here with the photo albums. At the end of the day, I think most people, if their experience is anything like mine, most people really, I think the emphasis here more and more is really on the photos. You know, we go somewhere, we do something, we attend an event, and we take pictures and we post those pictures up on Facebook. And it's very cool because it kind of invites our friends in to share the experience with us. And it says in a very real-time way, especially if we're doing it from our phones, hey, look where I am. Check out the pictures. And I love that. I love that aspect of it. So the photo albums is nice. Over here you can see all the pages you've liked. Previously, in my experience, it was not that clear that or where there was one place to go to see all the pages that I've liked. I like that I can like this or look at the likes, because now I can come here and organize this, and I can get rid of some pages I may have liked 100 years ago that I really don't like anymore, and so on. So I like that feature. The other thing that's cool about this, and I'm going to wrap up because we are coming up just a few seconds away from 15 minutes on this, is what they've done in terms of your ability to customize your timeline. I touched on this earlier. Over here, here's where I post my status updates when I'm looking at my own profile. And you also notice if I scroll down the timeline and go past it so it's hidden, they give me this pop out here. It gives me the ability to do it right from the top, so I never lose that. I don't have to scroll all the way back up if I'm way down on my timeline just to add something. So I love that feature. That's kind of neat. But over here I can choose significant events in my life and add them to my timeline. So over here they have specific categories of events like living, you know, changes in where I live, family and relationships. This is where you go to add your wedding like I did, work and education, things like that. Over here you can add specific milestones and experiences. Learn the language. They give you some examples. Traveled somewhere, achievement or award, or you can just go to other and customize your timeline by creating an event. You can add pictures. You can tag people in that you maybe were at the event with you. And of course you can write the story and describe what happened at the event. And then down here you have complete control over who can see it again, either public or just friends, or you can choose specific lists, just like everything else now. So you have complete and total control over the privacy. And I like that. I really like what they've done with this timeline thing. I think it's really going to change. Now, what I'm curious about is whether or not the main timeline here, when you're looking at everyone's updates, I wonder how that's going to change when they completely roll this out. I'm guessing it can't change completely just yet because not everybody's on the platform. But we will see. We will see what they do. And of course, they're going to keep making changes, and they're going to hear your complaints, and they're probably going to change it based on that. If enough people complain and say, hey, the way you're organizing the stories is terrible, I just want to be able to see everything and know that my feed consists of everything everyone's posted, whose updates I care about, then great. The other solution, as people are already very clearly pointing out, is create a list, put everyone in it, and then when you click on a particular list, you're only seeing posts from people in that list, and you're seeing everything that way. So here's one from nobody I'm connected to from Pace University has posted. Of course, they may not be in the list yet. That could be why. So I gotta add a bunch of people here who it says are from Pace University. I think I just added some people who don't belong there. But in any case, I can go to my high school here and notice there's no breakup of the timeline when I click on a list. It's just, this is everything. And I have two. I have Comac High School and Comac North because while I was graduating from high school, they combined high schools, so there was no more North and South, for those of you who don't know my history. Anyway, I think that covers it for now. I would love to get your comments. Let me know what you think about what you've seen about Facebook Timeline. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't like it. Tell me if you're excited about the changes, not excited, if you're going to switch to Google+, if you're going to come back to Facebook, or what you're going to do. Let me know. I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts and get your feedback. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web. This has been a special presentation brought to you by Nerd Enterprises Incorporated called It's About the People, Not the Platform, Facebook Timeline versus Google+. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and as always, give us a call at 866-945-8070 for information about private software trainings. We record the live session so you can review it as often as you like afterwards. Give us a call or visit us on YouTube at youtube.com/nerdenterprises to get an idea of the long library of video tutorials we have that you can use for free, and then pick from amongst those topics to call us up and get additional training when you want to go further. Again, 866-945-8070. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.